When the winds rise and the world around you spins in unpredictable directions, most people believe that the only way to survive is to fight against the storm or run from it. But there is another way, one that does not require frantic movement, but rather a deep, centered stillness. The eye of the storm is the calm center within the chaos, the place where clarity exists even as destruction swirls around it. To find that place, you must first understand that the storm itself is not the true enemy. The real battle is the one inside your own mind. When chaos strikes, the natural instinct is to react. We rush to fix, to control, to resist, and in doing so, we often lose our balance. Every thought speeds up, every heartbeat quickens, and our vision narrows until we see only problems instead of possibilities. This is when mistakes are made, not because the storm is too strong, but because we are too entangled in its pull. The eye of the storm is not about waiting for trouble to pass. It is about finding a place within yourself where the trouble cannot reach. Imagine standing in the middle of a raging wind. Leaves whip through the air, dust blinds your sight. The roar of the wind drowns every thought. Now imagine stepping just a few paces to the center of that same storm, where the air is still, the light is clear, and the noise fades. That center is not a physical location. It is a mental and emotional state. It is the ability to detach from the immediate chaos without ignoring it, to see the whole picture instead of being consumed by one part of it. This state requires practice, because the world will not stop testing you. Pressures will come from many directions: financial strain, emotional conflicts, physical exhaustion, unexpected change. And each one will try to drag you out of your center. You may feel the push to act impulsively, to speak without thinking, to make decisions out of fear rather than wisdom. But the storm cannot pull you into its chaos unless you step away from your own calmness. To stay in the eye of the storm, you must train your awareness to rise above the noise. This means learning to observe without immediately engaging. It means letting a wave of emotion pass through you instead of letting it control your next move. Calmness is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. You still feel, but you do not drown in what you feel. You still see the storm, but you no longer believe that you must be swept away with it. Think of water in a deep lake. On the surface, the wind creates ripples and waves, but in the depths it remains still, untouched by the surface movement. Your mind can be like that, reactive at the surface, but steady in its depths. When you operate from those depths, you can make choices that are not driven by fear, anger, or confusion. You can respond with clarity instead of panic. In every challenge, there will be forces trying to shake your ground. Sometimes they come from outside circumstances. Other times they come from the stories your own mind tells you. But if you return to the center, to that inner stillness, you will notice something important. The storm is temporary. Its power feels immense, but it is always passing. What remains is not the noise, but the person who learned to stand calmly through it. Do you want me to now expand Keynote 2 in the same 600+ word style? That will keep the flow consistent. Every event in life brings with it two forces, the stimulus and your response. The stimulus is everything that happens to you. The words someone says, the unexpected challenge, the sudden change in circumstances, the news you didn't want to hear. These moments can come without warning, often at times when you are least prepared. But between the stimulus and your reaction lies something far more powerful than the event itself, a small, almost invisible pause. This space, though fleeting, is the very ground where calmness, wisdom, and strength are born. Most people never see this space. They feel provoked and instantly react. They get insulted and immediately defend. They face pressure and quickly panic. They receive bad news and instantly spiral into fear. When there is no awareness of the gap between stimulus and response, life becomes nothing more than a chain reaction, a constant push and pull where the world dictates how you feel and act. In this way, control slips away, not because life is too harsh, but because you have surrendered the ability to choose. But when you train yourself to notice and expand that space, everything changes. In that gap, time slows down, not in the world outside, but within your own perception. You have the chance to breathe, to gather yourself, to step out of the heat of the moment and into the clarity of perspective. That pause is not avoidance. It is preparation. It is the moment where you can ask yourself the right questions. What is truly happening here? What is the most skillful way to respond? Is my reaction going to solve the problem or make it worse? This ability to pause is not natural. It is cultivated. It begins with awareness. The moment you feel tension rising in your chest, your heart racing, your voice ready to rise, you recognize the signs and consciously hold back. You don't suppress your feelings. You simply give them space to settle before you act. Just as a glass of muddy water becomes clear when left still, your thoughts and emotions gain clarity when you allow them to settle in the space before reacting. The strength of this practice is that it turns you from a slave to your impulses into a master of your choices. Imagine being in a heated conversation. Someone says something sharp, designed to provoke you. Without this practice, you would likely fire back, matching their tone, escalating the conflict. But with awareness of the space between stimulus and response, you take a breath instead. You let the heat pass before you speak, and as a result, your words are measured, precise, and impossible to twist against you. The situation may still be challenging, but you have not handed over your power. In moments of pressure, this pause is even more valuable. When chaos hits an emergency, a crisis, a sudden disappointment, the instinct is to rush into action. But rushed actions are often mistakes in disguise. The pause allows you to separate urgency from recklessness. It lets you decide with a calm mind, even in high-stakes situations. This is why people who can hold this space seem unshakable under pressure. They are not free from emotion. They are free from being ruled by it. Over time, this practice changes the way you live. The world no longer feels like a series of threats you must fight or flee from. Instead, it becomes a field of choices, each one shaped by the calm and clarity you cultivate in that small, powerful space. The events of life may still be unpredictable, but your response is no longer at their mercy. That space between stimulus and response becomes your true ground, the place where your freedom to choose transforms every challenge into an opportunity for mastery. Life will always present situations beyond your control. The winds will change without warning, plans will fall apart. People will act in ways you did not expect. Many spend their energy trying to rearrange the external world so that it never disturbs them. But this is a battle that cannot be won. The outer events of life move according to their own rhythm, and no amount of resistance can stop the waves from coming. The real power lies not in calming the ocean, but in learning to keep your own breathing steady as you move through it. Your breath is the most immediate bridge between body and mind. It is always with you, yet most people ignore it until they are short of it. In moments of stress, the breath becomes shallow, rapid, and uneven, mirroring the chaos in the mind. In moments of calm, the breath is deep, slow, and balanced, guiding the body into relaxation and the mind into clarity. This is why those who master their breathing can stand firm when others are swept away by panic. They do not rely on the outer world to be peaceful. They create their own peace from within. Think of the difference between a candle in the open wind and a candle protected by glass. In the open wind, the flame dances wildly, shrinking and flaring with every gust. But within the glass, the flame burns steady, even when the winds rage outside. Your breath is that protective glass. It shields your inner state from being at the mercy of outer events. Every slow, conscious breath reinforces that barrier, reminding you that the storm may touch your surroundings, but it does not have to touch your center. The practice begins with awareness. In moments of pressure, your mind will urge you to react first and breathe later. But if you reverse that order, breathe first, respond second, you regain control of your state before you take action. A single deep inhalation, followed by a slow, steady exhalation, tells your body that you are safe. This signal quiets the rush of adrenaline, slows the racing heart, and creates a mental pause in which better choices can be made. Over time, conscious breathing becomes more than a technique. It becomes a way of living. Even when nothing is wrong, you can train yourself to breathe deeply and fully, keeping the body in a constant state of readiness without tension. This baseline calmness means that when a sudden challenge arises, you are already starting from a place of stability rather than panic. The breath becomes both shield and anchor, holding you steady in every situation. It is important to understand that controlling your breath is not about controlling the world. Many believe that they will only feel calm once they have solved every problem, fixed every flaw, or ensured that nothing will go wrong. But this belief traps them in a constant state of waiting for peace instead of creating it. The outer events will always shift, sometimes in your favor, sometimes against you. If your inner calm depends on them being perfect, you will never know lasting peace. But if you can master your breathing, you can bring peace into any moment, regardless of the conditions around you. This mastery does not mean you will never feel stress or fear. It means that you can acknowledge those feelings without letting them overrun your thoughts and actions. You breathe, and in that breath you create the space to see clearly, to act wisely, and to remain unshaken even when the ground moves beneath you. In this way, and chasing that's ets over the exactl, why they uncontrollable and ends with instead your he, hold a d astery over the one thing that is always within your reach. The steady rhythm of your own breath. There is a misunderstanding about calmness that often keeps people from fully embracing it. Many believe that to remain calm in difficult situations, one must stop caring, withdraw from the world, and build walls around the heart. But this is not true calmness. It is emotional escape. Detachment, when practiced with wisdom, does not mean cutting yourself off from life. It means being able to step back far enough to see clearly, without being so entangled in the moment that you lose perspective. It is the ability to care deeply without being consumed by the weight of what you care about. In the middle of challenges, emotions can act like a magnifying glass. They make small setbacks appear larger than they are, and can distort reality until your vision is clouded. When you are too close to a problem, it becomes all you can see. You may feel that your worth, happiness, or peace is tied entirely to the outcome of one situation or the approval of one person. Detachment is the skill of creating enough distance to remember that you are more than this single moment, more than this single challenge. This is not the same as indifference. Indifference says, I don't care what happens. Detachment says, I care, but I will not let the outcome decide my inner state. Indifference closes the heart. Detachment keeps it open, but protected. You still act, still engage, still give your best effort, but you do not surrender your peace to circumstances you cannot control. In this way, detachment allows you to remain connected to life without becoming a prisoner to it. Consider a surgeon performing a complex operation. The surgeon may care deeply about the patient's life, but if they allow emotion to overwhelm them during the procedure, their hands will shake, their judgment will falter, and they will be more likely to make mistakes. Instead, they create a mental distance, focusing fully on the task while setting aside the emotional weight until the work is done. This kind of focus is not coldness. It is discipline born from understanding that emotion, when unchecked, can cloud the ability to act effectively. When you practice detachment, you begin to notice how often people's moods rise and fall like the tide, entirely dictated by events outside their control. A kind word lifts them up. A harsh one brings them down. A success fills them with pride. A failure crushes them with shame. By learning to create space between your inner state and the ever-changing outer world, you free yourself from this endless cycle of reaction. You can acknowledge the good without becoming dependent on it, and you can endure the bad without being broken by it. Detachment also strengthens your relationships. Without it, you may cling to others, expect them to fill every emotional need, or feel devastated when they cannot meet your expectations. With it, you can love more purely because your love is not driven by fear of loss or need for control. You understand that every person is on their own journey, and while you can walk alongside them, you cannot carry them entirely. This awareness allows you to offer support without losing yourself in the process. It takes courage to practice detachment because it requires trusting that your worth and peace do not depend on how the world treats you. It means letting go of the illusion that you can or must control every outcome. It asks you to stand steady even when your hopes are tested, to care enough to act, but not so much that you are destroyed by the results. In this way, detachment becomes a quiet strength, allowing you to remain fully present in life's moments while keeping your inner self free from chains that the world cannot help but place upon you. Stillness is often misunderstood. In a world that praises constant motion, endless productivity, and quick reactions, stillness can appear as inactivity or weakness. But true stillness is neither passive nor fragile. It is a deliberate act of strength. It is the decision to hold your ground when the easy choice would be to rush forward without thought. It is the ability to keep your center firm while everything around you tries to pull you in different directions. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the mastery of when and how to act. In times of challenge, most people feel a surge of urgency. The moment something threatens their comfort or security, they scramble for solutions, speak before they have gathered their thoughts, or make decisions without fully seeing the situation. This kind of hurried reaction may bring temporary relief, but it often creates larger problems. Stillness interrupts this cycle. By pausing, you give your mind and body time to settle, allowing the noise to fade so you can hear the truth beneath it. This is where clarity lives, not in the frenzy, but in the quiet between movements. Think of a tree in the midst of a storm. Its branches sway, its leaves tremble, but its trunk remains unmoved, anchored deeply in the earth. This is the essence of stillness. The tree does not resist the wind by thrashing harder. It holds its strength in the stability of its roots. In the same way, when you remain still in moments of pressure, you anchor yourself to what is steady and unchanging within you, rather than being carried away by every gust of uncertainty. Stillness also reveals strength because it is an act of control over the self. It is far easier to react impulsively than it is to pause. It is easier to let anger spill out than it is to breathe until it fades. It is easier to follow the momentum of fear than it is to stand still until courage returns. The discipline required to be still when your instincts scream for action is the same discipline that allows you to make choices from wisdom instead of desperation. This strength through stillness does not mean you do nothing in the face of life's challenges. It means you act only after you have gathered yourself fully, ensuring that what you do is aligned with your principles and not just your emotions. Stillness gives you the space to assess the true nature of the problem, to separate what is urgent from what is merely loud, and to decide on a course that leads to resolution rather than regret. In personal battles, stillness becomes a mirror. When you stop moving, you can see yourself more clearly. You notice patterns in your reactions, truths you may have been avoiding, and inner resources you did not realize you had. This self-awareness is a source of immense strength, because once you know yourself deeply, the world's attempts to shake you lose much of their power. External chaos cannot disturb the one who is deeply anchored within. Stillness is also a form of resilience. Challenges will come again and again, sometimes in waves, sometimes in sudden shocks. Those who rely only on speed and force may win a few battles, but they will tire quickly. Those who cultivate stillness can endure for far longer because they are not burning themselves out with constant struggle. They conserve their energy, act with precision, and recover quickly because their strength is not wasted on unnecessary movements. In the end, stillness is an act of quiet defiance against the forces that seek to rush you, overwhelm you, or make you believe you are powerless. It is the unspoken statement that you will not be moved simply because the world demands it. You will move when you choose, in the way you choose, with a power that has been strengthened, not weakened. By the silence you have embraced calmness is not a gift granted by a peaceful life. It is a skill forged in the fires of challenge. To remain steady when everything pushes against you, you must learn to stand in the eye of the storm, to guard the space between stimulus and response, to master your own breath when the world refuses to slow down, to practice detachment without losing compassion, and to draw strength from the stillness that others mistake for inaction. These are not separate lessons, but parts of the same discipline, the art of governing yourself when you cannot govern the world. When you hold this mastery, no force outside you can decide your peace. No storm can shake your roots, and no moment can steal the clarity you have built within.